Hey everybody, welcome back to Jackass of All Trades. So what we got going on today, we're in the kitchen, not in the shop. We're gonna make ourselves everybody's favorite vegetable, bacon. So there's a couple ways to cure bacon, cure meats. I'm certainly no expert at it. I've done it a couple of times. One time was dry brine, which worked out really nice. Takes about 5 days, and then there's the wet brine method, which I'm going to be doing today. I think I'm preferring the wet brine method. My family doesn't really like it too flavorful and too sweet and too salty, which the dry brine method can give you some hot spots, and you get a lot more intense flavor. The wet brine system, you get a little bit more even distribution of the flavors through the meat. And I like to kind of get the flavors picked from the woods that I'm going to smoke in. This particular batch, we're going to smoke with, on our Bradley smoker, with an alder and a maple. And we're going to alternate pucks. So every second puck, every second 20 minutes is going to be a different flavor of smoke. We'll see how that works out. So when picking your pork, what you want to do is make sure that you're getting good value. Pork belly is pretty fatty. This is all the fat area. This has been de-skinned already. Had it not been skinned, I would have made some crackling. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not buying too much fat. Fat is flavor. I get it, but you want to enjoy the meat, and you want to get the flavors into this and basically not have too much fat to worry about. You can trim it down if you like, make it a little bit leaner, but then you're just throwing it away. So if you select your meat kind of thinking about it that way, then you can kind of be prepared. So I'm going to be just basically cutting this in half and putting it in the brine bucket, but we'll make the brine first. So we'll just set this baby aside here a little bit. Okay, we have a really simple brine recipe. So we've got 1 cup of kosher salt. You can use sea salt, table salt. Just make sure it's de-iodized. You don't need the iodine. You don't want the iodine. I'm going to use a cup of white sugar, cup of brown sugar. I like to use a demerara sugar. I like to use the dark one. Yeah, a little bit more flavor and a little bit more richness. And then some Pride powder number 1. There's quite a few discussions on nitrates and these sort of things, whether they're good to eat. They occur naturally in some vegetables, beets, celery. I've cured with celery salt. It's worked out quite well. I've done a fair bit of research on it. I'm pretty comfortable now for myself that I don't have a problem with it. It's also measuring carefully. This is a 5.1 kilogram. You don't want any more than 3 grams of your Pride powder per kilogram of meat. So I can control the exact balance. I've got just a little over 15 grams here because I want a little bit of top space, but this isn't 30-40 grams of nitrates. So that's the deal. I've got a gallon of water, pre-measured, of course, and it's best when you're doing a brine to warm it and melt your sugars and melt your salt and melt it all together and then ice it to get it all mixed up. That's the way I do my turkey brines and that sort of stuff. With this going to be sitting in the water for 14 days, we're going to agitate it. It's going to dissolve, but we're going to give it a pretty good stir here today. So there goes the kosher sugar. There goes the demerara. Sorry, kosher sugar. Kosher salt, white sugar, and our magic Pride powder, which doesn't always come out So, little dip will be into the sink she goes. Somewhere is a spoon. Somewhere I put a spoon. I'm an idiot. Found the spoon. So, give this a little stir. Get it going here. Let that sit. So, now we'll glove up. I didn't always wear gloves when I was handling meat. Kind of really doesn't bother me, but I realized at a certain point, you're a lot more comfortable. You know, you're not holding it with the tip of your fingers and this and that. You're just grabbing it. So, you know, at a certain point, it's just more comfy for me. So I just use it. I was going to cut it in half, but if you look at the size of my pail, I'm probably going to be better to cut this into thirds. And then we'll get it in here. Right about there. There is no substitute for a sharp knife in a kitchen. And you can actually feel on the blade when you're going through some of the fat area here. Okay, looking good. Get rid of our packaging. So that's the cross section. You can see the color changes in the meat. This is a little more tender. And this is probably what I was feeling going through with a knife. So the brine will actually tenderize that and kind of soften it up a little bit. But you see, look at the profile in the cross section I was talking about. You don't have nearly as much fat. To row over here on this side, yeah, you're going to have back and forths a little bit. This is not a bad piece. Nice marbling. You can actually see the lines here. This is where the rib, these are your baby back ribs in this neighborhood here. So we'll stir up our brine a little bit better. And I can feel the sugars and the salt and whatnot on the bottom. The kosher salt that I used was coarse, so it's going to take a little bit more time to melt down. But now, in she goes. 1, 2, and 3. Now, you want to make sure it doesn't float. Sitting in there for 2 weeks, you don't want it to float up. I'm going to put a nice snap tight lid on it. So what I do, I have trusty old Tupperware, and I fill it with water, and it fits perfectly in here, and it sinks down, and now the meat is fully covered with the brine. So, nice tight lid. Put it in the fridge, and we're not going to look at it for 14 days. Okay, welcome back. It's been 2 weeks. And our bacon has been curing in the fridge, and it spent last night out in the yard. And of course, very happy and Bear didn't come along and decide to make a snack of it. So we still have something to go on. Okay, there's that weight that I put on it. And looks like it's nicely cured. Okay, not super nice. This isn't a super nice piece, but if you look at that, look at the color. It's got a nice even color to it. It's cured through. So now the object of the game is to rinse it. So we'll get this bucket filled with fresh water and we'll rinse this bacon. And I'm going to slice off a little taste and cook it in a frying pan. It doesn't have any smoke on it, but what that little taste will do for us is tell us how salty it is. If it's too salty, then we can throw it in a bucket of fresh water for a couple hours. It'll pull some of the salt out, and then we can do another retaste and see how that goes. So I'll just get this bucket filled up, do a little bit of rinsing. Just rinse it around and try to get all the curing salts and sugars off the surface. See, now that it's had a chance to rinse a little bit, you can see the pink showing up. So quite a bit of color in the water too, which is all a good sign that we're clearing it up. So we'll slice off a little piece. Try to get our tasters from here. It's got to be squared up anyway before it goes through the slicer. Okay. There's the inside, there's the outside. So a little bit of a chalky gray color, a little bit more pink. You can actually see the difference between the loin and the belly. This is getting close to the belly, this is a little bit more inside. So I'll whip up the frying pan and we'll do a little taster. There we got a good old cast iron frying pan. And I know everybody cooks bacon a little bit differently. I start it in a cold pan. We didn't shrink and stick and whatnot. Try to bring the temperature up. You can actually see the pan just starting to come up to temperature now. Some of the moisture. I didn't pat it dry, but we're just going to do a slow, little gentle cook here, and see if we can get some flavor out of this. We'll get an opinion from my lovely bride, but I think she's going to be a little camera shy, so I'll let you know what she says. I think we're getting to the point where we can taste it. You see the pan was dry, and now we're starting to get some good old-fashioned bacon grease there, and that's where the fat is starting to render and shrink down and whatnot. Okay, hands off. Yeah, see, you definitely see the sugars starting to cook. And we'll blot it, cool it, taste it. Okay, it's still pretty warm. Well, yeah, definitely nice color. I'm just going to slice the fat out of here so we can taste everything a little different. Definitely a color difference from side to side. And obviously, like I said, that's the inside of the cut. So this has got more sugars on it because that's the outside. So when you slice the bacon, it's just this edge that has the contacts of the sugar. The flavor is all the way through, but you don't get this kind of color when you're cooking it. Yeah, that loin side, that more tender side, that's pretty good. It's definitely saltier than I want it, but again, remember we're dealing with a salty take here. I'll take some over to the boss and see what she thinks. Okay, we got the seal of approval. So I'll show you what's going to happen. We're going to blot this, and then we're going to put it on some drying racks, and we're going to put it in the fridge uncovered for 24 hours, or at least till tomorrow. We'll do the smoking tomorrow, starting in the morning. And what that's going to do, you're going to see that the meat is relatively soft and wet. Obviously, we haven't blotted it off, but once it's had a chance to dry in the fridge, it will shrink and the surface will tighten up, and that'll give us a nice crisp for the smoke to sit on, and then we'll get it in the smoker. All right. Good morning. It's the next day, and I can't even get my gloves on. I haven't had my coffee yet, so things are going to be a little challenging. Okay. Let's get our goodies out of the fridge. Okay, I turned them once. I should have had a little bit more air flowing around them, but they're certainly tougher and they're drier, which is going to help. I'd prefer to fat side up. I'd prefer to hang them as they smoke. There's some hooks that you can get for the Bradley smoker. Actually saw them for the first time on the internet last night, so I'll probably make a set, and that way I can hang the bacon as we go. Okay, I'll do a little bit of cleanup on aisle 6, and I'm also going to be using my meat stick. These things are awesome. If you don't have one, cooking, baking, frying, grilling, smoking, deep frying. This thing's got an ambient temperature and it's rated up to 500 degrees. I've deep fried a turkey with this thing in there, and it's pretty freaking awesome. You want to talk about getting meat done to perfection? This is the way. So we're going to smoke our bacon to about 155 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to cold smoke for 2 hours, and then we're going to slowly raise the temperature. It's going to take us about 4 to 6 hours to reach an internal temperature of about $1.50, $1.55. We're going to use Bradley smoker. We're going to use Maple and Alder. And we're going to alternate the pucks, so every second one. So every 20 minutes is going to be a different wood.
I'm gonna try that. This is a suggestion from my wife, so we'll give that a little try and see how it goes. So, like I said, I'll get cleaned up and get this crap in the smoker. So, got some. I'll get some light on it. So I've got it kind of stacked. I got the one with a probe in the back, this one in the middle, and I might swap them around a little bit, and we'll get rolling. And we got about 20 minutes. That first puck is going to feed. This plate's going to get hot, and we'll start cold smoking, and we'll see how it looks in about, I don't know, maybe an hour. So we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, and it's looking pretty good. A lot of this gray smoke is evaporation, which is nice. So we'll keep on trucking. In the yard, we've been on for 2 hours now, cold smoking. So we're gonna turn the time back on here. Now we're gonna turn the oven on, or the heating element on. We're going to set the temp 120, and that'll get us some heat. All right, it's raining. We're going to go up to 180. And we're still got a couple hours worth of pucks. Better increase this smoke timer. Let's have a peek. Starting to get some color. I think I'm going to swap this one and this one, because I'm starting to get a little bit of color there. Yeah, I'll swap those two. Alright, coming up on 6 hours. So I raised the temp. Oh, my smoker's off. Haha. Dummy. I don't know how long that's been off. Oh, not too terribly long. That's good to know. Still smoky in here. But that's what the product's looking like. This is gonna make some nice back bacon. Oh, tastes good. There. If you're looking, you're not cooking. So, all right, another couple hours. I think our internal temperature is about 119 right now. Well, I guess you can tell it's oh, you can see my breath. All right, well, things went a little slower. We're looking pretty good. Oh yeah, that actually looks quite nice. I'm gonna do some spot checking here. 145. Oops. 156, top one's hot. 153. 154. Yeah, I think it's looking good. So I'm going to set this down to turn itself off automatically. I'll let it shut itself off in 20 minutes. Okay, it's now ridiculously late. It's midnight. This is timed out. And this is, oh, that smells so good. Oh, that looks good too. So I'll put that in the fridge and slice off a couple pieces tomorrow for breakfast. Can't wait. All right, bacon smoked. It's 9 hours of smoking. There's a bit of an oops. I'll show you on the graph from the meat thermometer. Okay, so if you look at the graph, you can see the full cook. You see this little dip here right at 6 or 7 hours in the ambient temperature. That's the blue. That area right there, I'll try to circle it. That's where the smoker timed out, and I lost all heat. The smoke kept going, but the heating element stopped. So I had a pretty good gap, and you can see the internal temperature, which is the top of the orange line. It dropped. So that's going to contribute hugely to the amount of time it took to smoke. So that was an oopsie and a dummy. I could have knocked myself off probably 2 hours of smoking. The results were good. Just took me all day to do it. So it's now had a chance to really stiffen up. You see that's nice and stiff in the fridge for a couple of days. So now we'll slice it and basically package it up. So the best part to do, you can leave it in the fridge nice and cold, or even a little bit of time in the freezer. Don't freeze it, but then it goes through the slicer a little bit easier. The fat is a little bit stiffer. So I'll get the slicer out and we'll do some slicing.
None for breakfast?
Okay, now that we got everything individually packaged, now we gotta get it on a diagonal here, just like the shorter ones. But I vacuum pack them flat because that way they thaw nice and quick. There you go. Ready for the freezer. And then ready for you know where. Okay, you guys don't need to hang around while I make and eat breakfast. So some of the short chunks we package up for, like I said, a carbonara and whatnot. So this is the finished product, all nice and vacuum packed flat, and we'll get it in the freezer. So hope you enjoyed the video. Looking forward to doing more of this stuff. And like I said, if you like it, like it. And if you want to see more of it, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.